ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so I'm Simon, I'm just here from Unox, so I'm going to talk you through the oven and how it works. I think you've all probably used combination ovens before, so just from what I've heard earlier on. But first of all, what I'm going to do is just cover general cleaning and maintenance of the oven, how to put the cleaning chemicals in and how to operate the oven, and then I'll turn it on and talk you through the features. So, if you just open the oven up, underneath the oven down here is the cleaning chemical. We've got some here, so it's already got one in it. It takes two of them to go into the, so all you need to do is put your deck rinse in, is just leave the foil on, and all you're going to do is drop the, keep it nice and upright. It's got a little thread, so we just screw that in, and you'll feel it release, and then it's just a case of just pump it in. And gently unscrew it, and that's it. Simple as that.
Do one at a time.
Yeah, you can put one in. It takes two, but I've just put that in so you've all seen it go in. So
how often do you need to do that?
It depends on what wash cycles you use. So I'll talk you through that when we get onto the wash cycles. As far as cleaning the oven's got a self-clean system on it. It's also got a rinse cycle on it as well. So what we recommend is you can do a full clean on it, and that will use 400 millilitres of cleaning fluid. Depending on what you're using it for, what you can do is rinse it throughout the day. So every time you use it, or when you want to cool it down quicker, you can use the rinse cycle, and then do a quick wash at the end of the day. I would recommend to start with. That should, if you're doing that every day, keep it clean. If you need to, then you can maybe do a full clean once a week. What that will do is give you, 40 millilitres it uses on a quick wash instead of 400 on a full wash. So it then makes your cleaning chemicals last longer, and cost-wise, it works out better. You can leave the trays in, so the trays stay in, and it can be washed as it stands here. Once it's finished the wash cycle, you can then access the inside of the doors. So if you're cleaning the inside of the glass, you've also got a drip tray down here, which just clicks out. Can you see that? The only thing I would just advise is when you put this drip tray back in, that has got to go in just in there. So make sure that lines up onto there. So you're looking for it to line up, and then it will drip down into there.
Fair enough.
So it's just that. I wouldn't recommend putting these in the dishwasher. So again, because it will deteriorate with the plastic. So it's just give them a wipe, and you can clean the outsides in and out. Got a probe. It's got its own place there where it can sit. That's for when you're not going to use the probe. I don't know if you're going to do any probe cooking, but if you were going to do probe cooking, the other thing you can do is put the probe just in there and close the door, set it on a preheat to whatever setting you're using, and then that means the probe doesn't get hot for when you want to put it into your food products. Otherwise, just leave it down the bottom there. Everybody happy with that so far? The other drip tray we've got is this one. So that one just pulls straight out, and again just wash that out, and then you just line it up and click it back in.
Yep.
Relatively lovely. Just your door sills, recommend cleaning them every day as well, wiping them over. What you're looking for, if they start to get brittle, they're going to crack. That's normally because there's fat being left in them overnight. So when you do the rinse cycle, just make sure you wipe them round, and it'll make your door sills last longer. Just on a quick health and safety, as we know, it's a convection oven, so fans are going to be running inside. It does give you warnings, and it won't let you stop the cycle if it's on a wash cycle, because it will spray water everywhere. All you need to do is make sure you just release the door, open it gently first of all to let any steam or moisture out into your fan, and then open it completely to use that. So down the bottom here we've got a power button, and then next to it we've got a USB. Just touch the power button inside, and the oven takes about a couple of minutes to fire up, and just bring up the screen. It takes USBs. The USB facility really is for doing an update on the oven, so you can get that from our website. You can also download a program to do your own programs, so you can upload them. It's not that often, to be honest with you, because it's mainly user-led from what you're doing. If you do get another one, you can download all the programs and go and plug it into another one, and do all sorts of it. You can also upload pictures. So when you're doing your own recipes or your own programs, you can upload your own picture of the dish. So if you wanted to do one of your dishes on the menu and a specific program for it, you can take a photograph of it. So when you come onto the front screen of the oven, just going to click on the top right hand side, so I'll talk you through these. This one is for working the oven in manual. I'll run through how this operates, and then we'll go on to programming and what we call mind maps. Probably at the top here is the timer. So you've got the timer on the left hand side. If I press this, that activates the probe. So that means the program's ready if you want to use a probe. Again, if you were doing meats or wanted to do a slow cook, you could use the probe setting. You've got minutes, hours. If I just press on the hours, you can either stab at it. So once you get used to where it is, you can move it up and down along, and all the settings work on the oven on this. Or if you want to fine tune it, you can do the plus or minus at the bottom. And that works on all the settings. If I go down, if you see on the hours, infinity means the oven's on a continuous run. So if you're in service and you want to use it at 200, 250 to finish your products off, you can run that at 250. So that's how you run the infinity. So if I just click back onto time and press the plus, it goes back. So moving down, we've got the temperature. Temperature is whatever you want to set it to, really. The other one over here is delta time. Delta time works when you've got the probe in. Has anybody had experience with cooking with a probe? Used it all before?
Yeah, when you put it, so you just say it to like 55.
Yeah. What we recommend with the delta probe setting is you set it at 20. What that'll do is it mean the oven will always be 20 degrees above the core temperature of the product. What that'll do is give you a nice even cook. So if you were cooking a roast joint and you set that at plus 20, when you put the roast joint in, if it's 12, it'll straight away click to 32. What that means is you have a nice gradual bake up to your set temperature. If you just use it at 20, we find then you get a good yield, rather than, you know, if you set it higher, it'll dry the product out. If you set it low, you tend not to get the core temperature. You then move on to your steam. So if you want to use it as a steamer, you can use it at 100% steam. And then on the other side, we've got what we call maxi dry, which is drying the oven out. So if you were to do it and you wanted to, for instance, if you wanted to do fries or dry cooking, if you had chicken wings in there and you wanted to get a nice crispy finish to them, you put the oven onto maxi dry and put it at maybe 70 or 100%, and that draws the moisture out of the oven. It's also good if you do meringues, a meringue or a slow baked cheesecake or something, and you want to get that moisture out of the oven, you can put it onto that, and that's your maxi dry. So you've got your humidity 100% if you want it as a steamer, or your maxi dry. Below it, we've then got the fan settings.
Just show me how you do the where you put the temperature, you know, like plus 20 to what's on the prop.
Delta there.
Delta,
yeah.
That one, right.
So when you activate that one, you would click on that one. So you'd say, I want my probe to reach a core temperature of, say, a joint at 85, 86, and then you'd set your delta temperature at plus 20.
Yeah.
And then that would make sure, or whatever you require. On here we've got the fans. So the way the fans work, we've got on pulse 4. What that means is it's the optimum setting. So the fans are running, they're rotating, they'll rotate, and that keeps the oven at a good temperature and rotates round. If you wanted to, going back to meringues, if you were using meringues and you'd set this at 100%, you might want to drop that down to 1. And that just means the oven's just going to slightly turn over. The fan, it's not going to, it's going to dry it out more as well, and that'll help with the cooking. So it's not got that fan blowing in. So it's just everyday use and everything else I recommend on 4. But there's a few products where you might want to just drop that down to 1 or 2. Have a little play with it on the settings. Meringues are good on number 1 at 100%. So if you are going to do that. So if I wanted to set, say I want to set a 10-minute cycle, and I'm going to do it at 200 degrees or 200, I'll go to 200. Percent, it could be steam or it could be at 0, whatever you want to leave it at. The fan's going to stay on 4. At this point, I could press start now and the oven will go into preheat mode. What I can also do is press this button here. What this does then is allows you to save the program. So if you're creating programs, you can set your programs up.
So if I did meringue it, I'll just press save it and then it
and then what you can do is at the top then you can name it. I'll just put it in as test. If you press on the camera, going back to being able to put photographs in, we've already pre-programmed it with about, I think there's about 100 pictures in it now. So you could go through and just decide what you want to choose. You know, you can see it's got sections at the top here. So I'll just click on fish cakes and then just press the save button. What you've got now is you've got 16 groups.
Yeah.
So again, to start with, what you could do is start working on group 1's going to be meat, group 2, it could be group 1's going to be breakfast, group 2 is going to be mate, whatever groups you want. And what allows you then is just to drop it into anywhere in that group. So if I press that button, it's dropped it into group 1, test, and then it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So if I go back to the home screen, which is this button here, and come in, I can press my menus, my programs, and then we test.
Yeah.
And if I click on that, it will then be there ready. And at this point you can view it and just check it's right to what you want. What you can also do is adjust it at that point as well. So if there was a slightly different, the product was slightly more than what you normally put in or slightly less, you can change the settings. Also on here, if I just press this button here, what it allows you to do is add a step into the program. So depending on what you're cooking, if you wanted to do a 2 or 3 stage cook or a 4 stage cook, I'll give you an example. It might be you're going to put a roast joint in. You might want to do 10 minutes of 100% steam just to clean the outside of the roast joint, and then step 2 might be that you want to achieve a core temperature of 78 or 85 depending on what you're cooking, and then you'd let it run. Step 3 might be that you then put, I want it to, once it's reached this temperature, I want it to go into hold mode. So if you were doing an overnight cook, you could set